What if the relationship advice you've been given is actually the cause of the problems in your relationship? So often we're told to communicate more and express all of our feelings. And communicating more is great if we're great at communicating. But if we've picked up a lot of bad communication habits, well, potentially, every time we communicate, we might be chipping away at the quality of the relationships that are really important to us. This is Low TED. We're learning one thing every day. And today we're talking about a guy called Gottman, the absolute GOAT of relationships. This guy's been working in relationships for over 40 years. He's worked with thousands of couples, and he's developed such insight and skill that he can sit with a couple that are experiencing conflict for just 15 minutes. And within a 94% accuracy, he can then determine whether or not they're going to end up in divorce. He speaks about two important things. He says, there's a concept called the 4 horsemen, and these are the characteristics of our behavior that are most likely destroying relationships every time we bring them up in communication. He says there's contempt, and that's eye rolling and disgust in the other person and mockery. He says that's actually the leading indicator of likely divorce, contempt. He speaks about criticism, where we start to attack the person rather than just their behavior. So we might make comments like, oh, you're such a prick, instead of, hey, the way you're behaving right now is making me feel really neglected. He speaks about defensiveness, where we always become the victim. We have a counterattack for everything, and we're always making excuses. Or stonewalling, another word for disengaging, disconnecting, just going silent. He says that if those 4 things, or any one of them, is present in our communication, we're probably destroying the relationships that are important to us. He then goes on to explain the concept of expressing all of our feelings. Now, often when we're having a heated conversation, or even just a conversation with someone who's really important to us, our nervous system comes to the party in a state which is dysregulated. For example, our heart rate might be higher, our palms might be sweating, and we're feeling a lot of nervous, tense energy within us. Our feelings at that point might be really heightened. They might not at all be an expression of the feelings that we typically have. And so to express all of our feelings at that moment is just an emotional overwhelm for the other person. And they might not be a reflection of how we really feel. Gottman goes on to say that there are things that we can do to actually build relationships rather than destroying them. He said there's things called repair attempts, things like humor, touch, acknowledgement, or even changing the topic temporarily. He adds in another tool. He calls it the magic ratio. He says, make sure there is at least 5 positive interactions between you and your friend or your partner for every 1 negative interaction. He says once it gets below 5 to 1, there's problems. Once it gets to 1 to 1, particularly in a marriage, there's divorce. We've been told that we've got to communicate more, but I don't think it's actually about that. I think it's about communicating better. And I believe so strongly in the power of relationships and the importance of communication that I invite you to find a relationship in your life that's in conflict. I know there is one, and it's most likely with a person that's important to you. I invite you to participate in that relationship, but self-observe while you do that. Are you introducing any of the 4 horsemen? Are you being contemptful, criticizing, stonewalling, or being defensive? And if you are, there might be an opportunity for an apology about that, because if you're doing it now, you've probably done it in the past. There might be an opportunity to use repair attempts, bring some humor to the conversation, and bring some acknowledgement. Start to self-observe so that you can see that your interactions fit well within the magic ratio, that there's at least 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative interaction. And finally, for all of those situations where you're communicating with someone that's important to you and you just feel your body tense up, you feel your heart rate increase, and you start to say things that are not a clear reflection of how you usually feel, just stop talking. Just leave. Just at the very, very least, take a deep breath. But even better, go and take 20 minutes out and come back once you feel that your nervous system has regulated. Like I said, I believe so strongly in the power of relationships and the importance of communication. I really hope that this has made a difference to a relationship in your life that's important to you that might be experiencing conflict. You might feel the temptation to share this video with someone else that you think really needs it. But before you do that, may I invite you to implement these ideas first, and then share the video with that person, because they don't want to feel like you're telling them how to behave. They've probably heard enough of that. They want to see that you've taken the first step. Let me wish you all the very best of love and happiness in all of your relationships. And remember, if you want to stay interesting, you've got to be interested. That's why we learn one thing every day. I will see you tomorrow.